Hello everyone, this is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today our guest is Antonio Vasquez, who will fight on Fight Night San Jose, December 14th. Hello Antonio, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
I'm good, and thank you for taking the invitation before one of the probably the biggest fight of your career because it will be your pro debut. So if you can tell me how your camp is going a few weeks before the fight.
Yes, thank you for having me on here. And I've been having a great camp. Like you said, it's one of the biggest fights of my career for sure. I'm going against a very experienced, very seasoned fighter. But I'm very look forward to the challenge, and I wish it was fight night already. I'm very excited for it. I had a great camp though. I've been training really hard. I'm just trying to make sure minimize injuries and then feel good.
And I checked this opponent on Tapology, and he has like unusual record because he fought at I believe one night in boxing, kickboxing, and in MMA fight, and the
Yeah.
MMA fight was against Yusuf Zalal. So current like big. I think that even a star in the UFC because when he came back to the UFC, he won a few bouts. So what do you think about him as the opponent and where he can be a dangerous for you?
I think he's gonna be very experienced and very seasoned, meaning like he's gonna have his cues and his timings down really fast, and he's being really aware. He has over 115 kickboxing fights, I believe, as well. So I know obviously he's ready to walk forward, try to walk me down, and try to overwhelm me with strikes. Um, as long as I keep my hands up though, and I don't let him land any head kicks or like spinning stuff, I think I'll be okay. I think I'll be able to hold my own. And honestly, I know I'm gonna bring the fight to him, and it's gonna be a great night. He's very experienced, but I don't underestimate him. I know he is tough, but I do feel like I am prepared to take down this challenge.
And for now, your career is a perfect one because you were 6-0 as the amateur on the topology. You are number 9 featherweight in US, so I think that it's kind of crazy. And you finished all of your opponents, so it means that you know what to do in the end.
Yes, and honestly, I couldn't find my ranking number 9 a little low too. If you look on there, one of my previous opponents who I beat last time, he's ranked like number 4 on there, and I tapped him out. So I don't know, but I'm not worried about records. I'm just worried about winning each fight, and I want to continue to stay perfect and finish every fight. And that's absolutely the goal going into this one. Is trying to get in there, trying to finish him any means necessary.
And your last fight in May, was it in the ring, right?
Yes, it was in the ring. It was the last Fight Night San Jose event in May, I believe.
And this one will be in the cage.
This one I believe in the ring too. I believe it will be in the ring as well. I think that's the thing they're trying to go with this promotion, or at least for these events, it is. Because they have kickboxing fights as well, and Muay
And
Thai fights.
do you like a fight in the ring?
I do like fighting in the ring. I think it makes it a little bit easier to cut off my opponent for sure. And there's a different interesting aspect when it comes to for the fans when it comes to falling through the ropes and stuff like that. I had my teammates um almost fall through out of the ring, so I think it makes for a really interesting fight, and it's really cool to see. It almost gives me like those good old Pride event vibes, and I think that's really cool. And that like my coach, my mentor, Gilbert Melendez, he completed in Pride, and I think that's just so cool that I get to do something just like how he did.
Yes, but in the end, I think that it is a cool thing because right now it's like all the MMA is in the cage. It's like hard to find any promotion that put the show in the ring. So I think that it can be interesting, like factor.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And like you said, just being different, we don't want to do the same thing that everybody else does. And I think that's a very cool thing to do.
And before this fight, do you feel like additional pressure with the knowledge that it will be your pro debut and it is something different?
Um, uh, I will say I'm definitely a little bit more nervous for this fight. But I also think that's a good thing. I think that because I'm nervous, it means that I care, and I don't get that feeling a lot. Of being super anxious or about my fight. So I think this is a really good thing and a good feeling to have. I almost like I appreciate it, that butterfly feeling in your stomach. That I only get that feeling before fights, and I love to feel it. I feel very lucky to feel that way because get to go out there and perform, put on a show.
And if you can tell me more about your beginnings in the sport, because right now you are you train under the Gilbert Melendez, but do you have any like additional background before your MMA career?
Yeah, I originally started training when I was 12, 13 years old in Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai. I did a couple competitions in Jiu-Jitsu, won them both too. But then I took a break from training. And then when I was 16, I decided to become an MMA fighter. And that's when I started training full time and everything. I didn't even go to high school. I got my GED, and then so I could start competing and training full time.
So
And I,
uh,
I
yes,
sorry, but
when you were 16, you know that you want to take this path.
Yes, when I was 16, I knew that there was nothing else I wanted to do. I felt like I felt like a part of me was missing because I wasn't training anymore, and I would really wanted to get back to it. And then I always thought that I'm a very competitive person. I always wanted to be the best of the best at whatever I do, and that's exactly what I want to do. I want to go out there and be the best fighter in the world. I'm not only the best, but I also want to be the smartest fighter out there in the world. Some of my favorite fighters are the ones that are very high IQ, like and John Jones. John Jones is actually one of my favorite fighters of all times. He's a very smart and intelligent fighter that can adapt to every person, even mid-fight. So I think that's very cool.
Yes, and at one point he defeated, I think that it was 2011 that he defeated for former champions, three former champions and Ryan Bader, who became later on the Bellator champion. So I think that in especially and at that time it was something unbelievable. And like you said, he was able to adjust the things in the like fight when it lasted.
Oh yeah, and it was very beautiful to see, and not to mention in his range too, and like the ability to throw his elbows. I found that very beautiful and just like art, and how well he's able to throw and strike as well. That's actually one of the moves that I want to try to go for this next fight. Is that I want to land myself a spinning back elbow. I think that'd be really cool.
And for now, you finished all of your opponents. And what do you think about your cardio? Because this fight it can last for 15 minutes,
Mhm.
15 minutes. And what do you think will happen in like maybe second, maybe third round if the fight will go that far?
Um, I think my cardio is doing really well. I've been pushing it a lot. I've been making sure to stay on top of my weight, so I feel good for my fight, especially too. I do know that this dude's gonna be tough, so I need to make sure I have really good cardio. Most of my fights only been in the first round, second round only twice. But I'm not really too worried about that. The way I train is I train with a lot of teammates who like to push me, and we push ourselves for 5 minute rounds for like 3 to 5 different rounds, and that's just the way we train. The scrap pack team, we all train hard. We're all beasts, and we all really love to get after and push each other. So I'm not too worried about my cardio. I know my cardio will be there. I know the dog in me will be there, and the only thing that I'm really just trying to make sure I stay on top of is just dropping the weight. Honestly, everything else I feel like it's come along really great. I've had a really good camp. I think I'm gonna be able to take this dude out.
And if you can tell me more about that, like your training and sparring partners, because I know that you have in your team few really high level prospects too, and I think that one of them will be fighting on the same card.
Hmm. Yeah, I have tons of good training partners. Especially like my brothers, Sky Sean Jones. He was supposed to be fighting on the card too. Logan Diaz. He's another great. He's a Muay Thai fighter. He just came back from Thailand actually. Phenomenal Muay Thai fighter. Joe Cropshaw, he's the main event of the fight night in San Jose. Another phenomenal fighter who I look up to. Clark the Shark. He's making his pro debut. That's my guy right there. He's so fucking good. Sorry. And then also, I had our homegirl Stacy. She was supposed to fight on it, but people keep ducking her because they're really scared. I also have my training partner, Hyder Amil, and he's like big bro to all of us. Hyder Amil, he's in the UFC right now. Actually had a hell of a knockout in his last fight, so he's something we all look up to for sure too.
Yes, and Haider is undefeated, like 9 or 10-0. So I think that he is also one of the guys. Of course, he's at a different stage of his career because he's in the UFC and he probably will fight soon for the like ranked place. But I think that it's like crazy good to train with the fighters on this kind of level.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, we're just very lucky to have a bullpen full of fighters who are just who in my opinion are absolute dogs and they love to get after it and I love it. I love every bit of it.
And do you have a like favorite moment of Gilbert Melendez' career? Maybe the fight, maybe some finish. The one thing that you like the most from his career?
Uh don't get me wrong, I look up to all of I think Gil's fights. He's always put up really good fights. But there's nothing like the Diego Sanchez fight. That fight it was just it's just legendary. It's stuck in everybody's head forever now. But I look up to Gilbert and how he is, and I love the way he portrays himself as well. And I kind of want to be a little bit like that myself. Even in the massive Tennessee brawl with the Jake Shields, I mean, like he was right there too, ready to defend his boys' backs, and I respect that a lot.
And probably when you can think like about like Strikeforce legends fighters from Strikeforce, he's probably number one because he defended the title this title so many times. He fought against Josh Thompson. It was like big rivalry. That point he won against Jorge Masvidal, Shinya Aoki. So who is who in the world of MMA?
Absolutely, yeah. And that's another thing is that Gil, he also fought like AKA fighters. And he also fought in San Jose. He fought at the SAP Center, but like I think it's really cool that I get to fight in San Jose now at the Texie Arena. And also in my last fight, I went against the AKA fighter. And now I'm going against I think a Team Alpha male fighter. I think it's just very cool. It almost feels like I'm following in Gilbert's footsteps a little bit. It's very cool.
And what is the like one thing that you like the most in MMA and the thing that you really don't like in the sport?
Uh, I think the thing that I like the most about MMA is the ability to express yourself and through your movements, and it's like a art form, and like people they use art to um, show and their character, and I feel like you can show character while you're fighting. The type of fighter you are shows, and every punch and every kick, every movement you do. Um, One part that I don't like about fighting is I wish guys wouldn't pull out of fights. I've had a fight camp before where I showed up, we weighed in, and then after the weigh-ins, we went backstage, and then he never wanted to fight, and unfortunately, he pulled out day of. So I think that's a big occurrence. I know I had a hard time. I had like 12 different people say no to fighting me initially too for this next fight I have coming up. I'm very fortunate to be able to have Vadim though. So I get to fight still.
I think that is something crazy that not many people think about that you like preparing for this one moment you make weight and in the end there is no fight. It has to be like super frustrating.
Very frustrating, all that time, dedication, sacrifice. Even people you tell to come out, you try to sell tickets to, and all for what? Just for the dude to get scared and say no? I'm like, oh, come on.
And do you have the like plan for your career for near future, like maybe 2, maybe 3 years? Where would you like to be at like 2007, maybe 2008,
Um,
28? Sorry.
it's all good. I know what you meant. Honestly, the biggest things that I see for my future, especially in the coming years, is just my pro career, wherever that takes me. Hopefully, in 2 years' time, I think that I have a real good shot and chance at being in the UFC or in the contenders or something like that. 2 years' time, I think it's plenty of time to get there. I should have enough fight to be able to prove myself and to get there. Other than that, just teaching a lot. And that's also another thing I've been doing a lot this camp is just teaching a lot. And teaching really helps actually myself learn better because when I teach somebody else, I have to really know what I'm talking about. So it's quite nice.
And do you teach like regular people or the like the more of the fighter types, like on a amateur level or even higher?
I teach youth actually, and I teach regular classes. But I also don't get me wrong, I like try to help out my teammates and other fighters or want to be fighters when I can. Um, but usually I'm teaching classes for the most part.
So after your career will be done, so in many years, but do you think like about becoming like a full-time coach?
Potentially, I feel like when I was younger, I always imagined I would eventually have my own gym and being a coach. Now I'm not sure where that'll lead in the end. But I definitely know it's gonna come from wherever this fighting career takes me. Um, and I'm just really focused on getting to hear my pro debut and also succeeding and doing very well in my pro debut. I have to keep my undefeated streak going. So honestly, that's all I'm worried about. That's all I'm focused about.
And do you have the featherweight in the UFC that you would like to face? Maybe even like the dream fight scenario, but maybe you have this one name that you would like to face.
Uh, I look up to a lot of fighters, don't get me wrong, in the 45 division. But one person who has a lot of hype around them right now, and I would love to have a chance at is Ili Taporia. I'd love to fight Ili Taporia. I like his style. Don't get me wrong, he's a very good fighter. But I don't like all this hype around him, and I think that the scrap pack could definitely show him what's up.
And were you surprised that he finished Max Holloway?
I wasn't too surprised after seeing Max's weight cut. I saw him at the weigh-ins and he didn't look too good, so I wasn't too surprised. But I say if they ran that fight at 55, I think that Max had a very good chance at winning.
And Ilya got this like quality, something like Conor McGregor, like many years ago. That he was a little bit like controversial. That he was super confident, and he like saying a lot of stuff too. But in the end, I think that this kind of even like persona is kind of good because people like love him, hate him, but his fights are like really interesting ones. So I think that it's really good for the like even the whole sport.
Absolutely. I mean, you're not gonna have your heroes without your villains. You know, you definitely need the guy that's willing to chirp and talk and preach about how good he really is. And I think that's also part of being a fighter too. You have to be confident in yourself. And nothing really shows confidence like to have a big chest and and also back up what you say. And he's done that so far. But if I feel like if me or even my teammate Hyder, if any of us got a chance to fight him, I think that we would show him what's up and show him who the real badasses are. Nate Diaz, he had the BMF belt, and I think that's for a reason. Nate Diaz is also part of one of those OGs that was part of the scrap pack, with Gil and all of them. And I think it's time we show him what's up.
And do you like overall this kind of BMF title fights?
I mean, like it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I'd rather have the the weight class belt. But I mean, I'll take a BMF belt any day. Why not? I mean, as long as I get to put on a good fight and I get to dominate somebody for it.
But I think that in like 2019, it was a perfect moment and perfect two guys to fight for the title, because I don't think that this should be available for anyone. You have to like be in some kind of criteria to get this kind of title. Like Max Holloway, in my opinion, deserve to get this, but it's not like regular title.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah, not just anybody can fight for the BMF title. I felt like in order to fight for the BMF title, you have to be outspoken and really about your badassness in the sport. Just like how Nate was, or I mean, I think Justin, he's always been a bad boy too. So maybe he deserved to fight for it.
And you mentioned before John Jones, and except him, do you have any like maybe one or two other guys that you really like to watch his fights?
Oof, that's tough. There's a lot of fighters I love to watch, and not in just MMA, but also like in Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. There's many great athletes out there. Um, I respect Jose Aldo though. Jose Aldo is another great fighter I always looked up to. I find his low kicks and his techniques very phenomenal. He's a great fighter. Um, Hoist Gracie, OG, but it's part of her roots, and I've always really looked up to him. Um, Nate Diaz, obviously, I love his style and how real he is. Love the hands. Um, Besides John Jones and them, I would say that's pretty much it for right now. I think Hickson Gracie is another one that people forget about. But Hickson, he was that guy. He was one of the first pioneers. He was that guy.
Yes, yes, definitely. And about your grappling, because you are a very good grappler in your fights, we can see that you have a really good approach to like chokes, and you are super dangerous on the ground. But what belt are you in, BJJ?
I am a brown belt. I believe I received my brown belt this year or last year. But I am a brown belt, yes, under Gilbert Melendez.
And do you compete in any kind of grappling competition, gi or no gi?
I used to a lot, but I kind of slowed down at purple belt. At a purple belt, I started focusing more on MMA and only competing in MMA. Although I did have a grappling match inside the cage for SF Combat. It was another local show around here. Um, But other than that, I haven't really been competing much ever since my purple belt. I just, like I said, focused on MMA. But when I was competing in jiu-jitsu, I was competing a lot, like especially like white belt, blue belt. I was out there competing a lot. I used to train in San Diego, and San Diego is also like a mecca for jiu-jitsu, and it was very big out there. So I was constantly getting competitions there.
And in this fight, what would be a perfect finish for you, or like end of the fight? Do you would you prefer the knockout or submission?
Uh, I would really like a knockout just because it's my first pro debut and it'd be a hell of a way to kick it off. But I love to get the submission too, just because I feel like the submission is the ultimate form of domination. Is the ultimate, like FU. So I think that'd be really, really cool to get to.
And outside of fighting, when you are not like fighting or coaching people, what do you like? What do you like to do in your free time?
Uh that's a good question. Been busy a lot lately, just training and teaching a lot. But other than that, um, I like I've been hanging out a lot. I just got this new dog, and I'm taking her for walks a lot with the family and stuff. I like I don't know if you know ballet songs are, but I like flipping ballet songs. I find those really fun and entertaining. Um, I play a little bit of video games here and there. But other than that, I'm just busy in the gym, training, teaching all the time, studying.
But
I love movies though too.
but actually your results are like perfect. So it's a good decision in the end.
Yeah, I can't do nothing too crazy. I used to love to skateboard a lot, but I kind of have to slow down from skateboarding and stuff like that. Just because I don't want to hurt myself and I end up having to pull out from a fight.
Okay, Antonio, so many thanks for the conversation. I think that it will be a really good fight, and I hope that in next year you will get some more, and of course you will stay undefeated.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Thank you again so much for all of this.